Hi everyone, this is lesson number 5, composition of project boards. In this lesson, we're going to speak about one of the most important things when we build our project boards is the composition. How do we organize our board? So first of all, it depends on the orientation, if it's a vertical board or a horizontal board. This choice changes completely the whole, the entire way of organizing and telling the story. So the composition is a rule of the order that we are positioning certain things on top of our board, and it tells the story of our project and how do we decide to progress with that story. So the main key elements of a composition is the project story, which is the primary and biggest element in the central part of our board, while the rest is secondary. It's very small and it complements the main thing, and it will determine the volume and the mass of materials that we're putting on top of our boards. So it's very important to understand if we have just one board to tell the entire story and then divide it into sections and areas, and the composition is then very geometrical and we can play with that, or we have different boards as a sequence. But if we have a sequence, we have to look at the entire sequence as one. So we don't consider just the single board. We are looking first at the whole sequence, dividing it and creating the language and the order, and then we go into the single boards themselves. So what are the types of board compositions that we have? We have the repetitive type, which means that we put the main image or the strongest image in the same place on each board. So it's repetitive, we know exactly what to expect, there is no surprises, and it's usually on the top. You can put it on the bottom, you can put it in the middle, but usually it's put on the top because it has a stronger influence. Then we have the gradual sequence, as you see here in the bottom. So we start with the top and go slowly towards the bottom part of the other boards, and it gives us a dynamic, gradual feeling of the project progress. Then we have the free type, which is the composition where everything is spread in a certain way that is not following a geometrical order, but a sensation that we have, almost as an abstract painting where we can put things based on what we feel is right, and we play with different shapes and forms. It's very open to interpretation, and we play around with it in a certain creative way. Then we have the juxtaposition composition, which is a poster basically with one huge image that takes the whole space of the board, and then everything else is put on top of it and blends with the background as a second layer on top. So everything seems as if one composition. It is very important to think about the composition and think it through, because this is the way we control the viewer's eye towards the most important thing of our boards. So if we want to start with that element of control, then I would suggest put on your board in the places where you want the people to look at first. So this is the biggest stain or the biggest image that you're placing on your board. Then put the second strongest image where you want people to look at, and then the third strongest image where you want them to go at the end of the journey that they're doing. It's a visual journey. So you're taking them, you're controlling it as if you were a director or a filmmaker. This is the first scene, second scene, third scene. So you place those things on top of your board based on that control. So feel free to play around with it and just see how does it change your view and your eye when you put things in different places of your board. It helps you understand how can you control the composition through the sequence of your storytelling. I hope you enjoyed learning with me so far. I hope it opened up some questions and curiosities, and now you can start experimenting and trying out what you've learned. Don't forget to dream with open eyes, and see you in the next lesson.